Hi there, this is Mark Ittleman, speech-language pathologist, and this is the teaching of talking. And today I want to talk about an interesting subject, and that is that caregivers are becoming more professional. And through the years, I've met with various caregivers of people with aphasia and apraxia, and some of them had said to me, Mark, I think I'm going to have to go back to school and get a speech pathology degree so I can work with my husband. And you know something? That probably made a lot of sense because a lot of caregivers have not been happy with the way that their loved ones are progressing in supposed aphasia therapy or therapy to help them start talking again. In fact, many have told me that they do very little talking in therapy, that a lot of it is related to workbooks and doing busy work with paper and pencil. Now, I'm not saying that happens in most cases. I just don't know. But I've had a lot of caregivers who've told me that they keep asking the therapist, when are we going to start working on speech? When are we going to start working on speech? And one of the problems I believe is definitely occurring is that many of the institutions that are out there today are not emphasizing the ability to talk again and to converse. What they're emphasizing are these devices, AAC devices and things like that, which a lot of people think are very expedient. The problem is that I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to talk with a machine, and a machine could never really say the things that I wanted to convey. Machines just don't do that. And, they're very, very expensive, and a lot of times caregivers don't have the time or the energy or whatever to try to program them. And programming them is a lot more difficult than just learning how to help them talk again. So this quick conversation, and I'll try to make it as quick as I can, is about what I'm seeing happening with caregivers today. Many of you know that I offer classes in Apraxia and Aphasia and dysarthria. And I do that because caregivers, I believe, are the best people in the world to help a loved one talk, because they're around them all the time, they're talking to them all the time, and I've never really understood why our training institutions, even when I went to school, even way back when I went to school, and even today, the training institutions are not training the caregivers. And to tell you the truth, I think there's a lot that's missing in the training of new therapists, especially in regard to apraxia and aphasia. In fact, I've heard also from many caregivers that these terms are thrown around, and when the caregiver asks the therapist, what does my husband have? Does he have apraxia? A lot of times they're given the answer, well, I don't know. And that's just not acceptable. To me, it isn't acceptable. And if I had any student and they said that to a caregiver, I'd send them home with their bags packed. And I think it's just because the training today is doesn't emphasize aphasia and doesn't really emphasize apraxia in many cases. Now, there are some institutions that do, and that's all I'll say about that. Okay, so the phenomena that I want to share with you today is, we just finished up a 16-week aphasia course, or an apraxia course for caregivers. And, one of the things that I've missed as a professional is professional collaboration. Now, when I worked in the hospitals and things like that, a lot of times therapists would come up to me and we'd sit down and we'd discuss a particular problem, and I'd discuss with them what I thought would be the best approach to take. And it was really, really good because there was a lot of interaction, and I could really tell by some of the therapists were really passionate about what they did. And it was really fun and enjoyable to help them work. And we could talk about so many things related to speech. And now what I'm finding is that after 16 weeks of intensive learning and stimulation of caregivers around the subject of apraxia, and we've covered some aphasia also, but the major focus has been on the apraxia. Caregivers, are asking me questions just like the students or just like the CFYs or just like the beginning therapists used to do, and they use all the proper speech lingo. They talk about the lingual velars or the tongue retraction or the tongue lateralization, or they'll talk about the plosives, or they'll talk about the tongue positioning and things like that. And to me, it's like speaking with a young professional. And it is, because these caregivers have studied my new book that I covered during the course, and they were in attendance during the lectures and discussions that we had. And then they send me videos of their work with their loved one, and I critique them and give them either excellent work, or I might make a few suggestions to make them even better. And so I'm just so glad that people are taking the opportunity, that caregivers are taking the opportunity to learn this stuff, because you don't have to go back to a university. You don't have to go for 6 or 7 years of training, okay, to help your loved one talk. And let's face it, there are just a lot of therapists who are doing really good work out there. And there are a lot of therapists who de-emphasize the ability to talk and want to give them these AAC devices, which I think is a crying shame and a travesty. So I believe the AAC devices can be very good, only for people who can't talk, only for people who are not going to be able to regain the ability to talk. Now, are there some people who won't be able to talk again? Yes, there are some, but I've met very few of them. I found that many can be taught to talk. It's an in-depth process, and you really have to have a caregiver who's really willing and determined to help their loved one talk, because there are a lot of them who are re-talking, they're talking again, they're interacting again, and it's a challenging process, and it may take quite a while. It might take a year or more, okay? But the satisfaction of being silent and learning to say words and phrases and sentences again, and to be able to interact with a loved one, it's priceless. And you can have that opportunity if you'd like to contact me. I'm going to be setting up some classes in the next month. I'll be setting up some classes for dysarthria, and I'll be setting up some classes for aphasia and or apraxia again. I'm going to see what the response is, and whatever the response is, if we have a good turnout for any of them, we'll do a course for for those who are interested. And we'll teach you things that they don't even teach at the university, and we'll teach you things that work. So, this is Mark Gittleman, speech-language pathologist. If you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up. And down below are a bunch of links if you want to contact me personally, if you want to get on our mailing list, if you want the Apraxia book, our new Apraxia book, or if you want the Aphasia book and the Aphasia video course, that'll be available too. So get in touch with me, and I'll do my very, very best to help you. Thank you very much, and have a great day today.